Number 10. The Cosmic Jellyfish. In 1996, astronauts aboard the Space Shuttle Columbia witnessed something that shouldn't exist in the vacuum of space. During a routine observation period, several crew members reported luminous, translucent formations outside their viewport that pulsed and moved with apparent purpose. These objects, which the astronauts nicknamed cosmic jellyfish, exhibited tendrils of light that seemed to propel them through the emptiness of low Earth orbit. NASA officially attributed these sightings to ice crystals catching sunlight or reflections from the shuttle's exterior, but multiple astronauts from different missions have reported similar phenomena, often describing the same distinctive characteristics: bioluminescent-like pulsing, coordinated movement patterns, a translucent body structure reminiscent of marine organisms. What makes these sightings particularly baffling is their behavior. Unlike debris or ice particles, which follow predictable trajectories determined by physics, these jellyfish have been documented changing direction without any apparent external force acting upon them. During a 2001 ISS mission, cosmonaut Yuri Usachev captured video footage of objects that appeared to merge, separate, and pulse in synchronized patterns that defied explanation. Scientists have proposed various theories, from exotic plasma formations to previously unknown atmospheric phenomena occurring at the boundary between Earth's atmosphere and space. Some researchers suggest they might be related to high-energy particles interacting with the spacecraft's electromagnetic field, creating complex visual artifacts. Yet the consistency of reports across different space programs, spacecraft, and decades raises troubling questions. If these are merely reflections or ice crystals, why do they repeatedly manifest in such biological-looking forms? And why, despite advances in camera technology aboard the ISS, do they remain so elusive to document conclusively? Perhaps the boundary between Earth and space harbors more mysteries than our current scientific understanding can explain. Number 9. The Phantom Space Station. In March 1991, cosmonauts aboard the Mir space station reported something impossible: another large structure in orbit, visible at a distance of approximately 2 kilometers. Commander Anatoly Artsebarsky described it as a translucent outline, similar in size to a space station, that maintained position relative to Mir for nearly 3 minutes before fading from view. The incident was logged but dismissed as an optical illusion caused by specific lighting conditions in orbit. But the phenomenon didn't end there. Between 1995 and 2001, 4 separate crews on Mir reported similar sightings. In each case, the phantom structure appeared for brief periods, always at roughly the same distance, before disappearing. What made these observations particularly disturbing was that they often coincided with unexplained communications disruptions and instrument anomalies. When Mir was deorbited in 2001, many assumed these strange sightings would end with it. Yet in 2006, an ISS crew member reported a similar observation during an EVA, a large shadowy structure momentarily visible against Earth's backdrop. NASA's official explanation suggested reflections from solar panels or atmospheric distortions viewed through multiple layers of the station's windows. The scientific consensus points to pareidolia, the human tendency to perceive familiar patterns in random stimuli, combined with the unique visual conditions of orbit, where light behaves differently than on Earth. Reflections from Earth's surface or ice crystals forming on external spacecraft surfaces could create phantom-like apparitions when viewed under specific orbital lighting conditions. Yet what troubles space agencies is the consistency across different observers, spacecraft, and decades. The descriptions match too closely to dismiss entirely, particularly when accompanied by instrumentation anomalies that seem to defy conventional explanation. The Phantom Space Station serves as a humbling reminder that even in the most monitored environment humans have created, the line between observation and illusion remains thinner than we might like to admit. Number 8. The orbital light clusters. In 2005, astronauts aboard the International Space Station witnessed something that defied explanation. While passing over the South Pacific, the crew observed a cluster of lights below their orbit that appeared to move in coordinated geometric pattern. Unlike the random distribution of city lights or fishing vessels, these formations arranged themselves into perfect triangles, squares, and circles before rapidly dispersing. The event lasted approximately 76 seconds and was captured by multiple cameras aboard the station. NASA initially classified the footage, but later released it with the explanation that the lights were likely fishing boats using powerful lamps to attract squid. But this explanation quickly fell apart under scrutiny. Mathematical analysis of the movement patterns revealed acceleration rates that would be physically impossible for oceanic vessels. The formations changed configuration at speeds exceeding 500 miles per hour, with perfectly synchronized movements among objects separated by miles of ocean. Similar phenomena were documented on at least 7 subsequent ISS missions and 2 shuttle flights. In 2011, astronaut Paolo Nespoli captured high-definition footage of a cluster that appeared to respond to the spacecraft passing overhead, rearranging itself as if reacting to observation. The lights demonstrated movements in three-dimensional space, rising and descending through the atmosphere while maintaining their geometric relationship. Scientific investigations have proposed various explanations, from plasma phenomena in the upper atmosphere to previously unknown properties of ball lightning. Some researchers suggest these might be evidence of sophisticated drone swarms, though the technology to coordinate such formations at those speeds didn't exist when the first sightings occurred. What makes these orbital light clusters truly mysterious isn't just their coordinated movements, but the apparent intelligence behind their formations. If these aren't technological in origin, what natural process could possibly organize energy or matter with such geometric precision? And if they are technological, whose technology are we observing? Number 7. The Whispering Stars. During a spacewalk in March 2009, astronaut John Phillips was performing routine maintenance on the International Space Station when his communication system picked up something unexpected. Through his headset came what he described as whispers and rhythmic patterns on a frequency that should have been silent. The sounds continued for 12 minutes before fading away, distinct from the normal radio chatter of mission control or satellite transmissions. NASA's communication specialists were unable to identify the source. What makes this incident particularly unsettling is that it wasn't isolated. Between 2009 and 2017, 14 separate EVA missions reported similar anomalies. The patterns exhibit consistent characteristics. They begin with a series of pulses that follow a mathematical sequence, similar to prime numbers, followed by what multiple astronauts have described as whisper-like modulation that seem almost speech-like in their rhythmic quality. Radio astronomers have analyzed recordings of these transmissions and found they don't match known terrestrial sources or satellite communications. The signals appear strongest when astronauts are on the dark side of Earth, away from the planet's radio noise. More puzzling still, the frequency of these transmissions shifts in a pattern that precisely matches certain stellar radiation bursts from distant neutron stars, creating what one NASA scientist called an impossible correlation. Scientific explanation focuses on interactions between the Earth's magnetosphere and charged particles from solar wind, creating radio frequency phenomena that might be interpreted as patterns by human perception. Yet this doesn't account for the mathematical structure present in the signals or why they occur specifically during spacewalks, rather than being detected by the station's more sensitive communication equipment. These whispers from the void represent one of spaceflight's most persistent mysteries, a phenomenon at the boundary between known science and the unexplained. The universe speaks in many frequencies. We simply may not yet understand its language, or recognize when something is attempting communication through channels we haven't learned to properly interpret. Number 6. The Orbital Shadow. In November 2014, astronauts aboard the International Space Station reported something that defied explanation. While passing over the North Atlantic, several crew members observed an enormous shadow moving across Earth's surface below. Unlike the well-documented shadows cast by the ISS itself, this darkened area was vastly larger, approximately 75 miles in diameter, and moved against the orbital trajectory of known satellites. Most disturbing was its perfect circular shape, maintaining its dimensions as it tracked across ocean and land alike. NASA initially suggested it might be the shadow of an unknown weather balloon or high-altitude atmospheric phenomenon, but subsequent analysis of weather satellite data revealed no object large enough to cast a shadow of this magnitude. More puzzling still, the shadow appeared to move at a constant speed regardless of the terrain below, something impossible for a conventional shadow, which would distort when cast across varying elevations. Between 2014 and 2021, similar shadow phenomena were reported by ISS crews on 5 separate occasions. Each sighting shared key characteristics: the perfect circular shape, the size between 50 to 80 miles in diameter, and movement patterns that defied known orbital mechanics. During the 2019 sighting, instruments aboard the ISS detected a brief but significant fluctuation in Earth's magnetic field directly below the shadow's path. Scientists have proposed various explanations, from previously unknown atmospheric optical effects to rare cloud formations that might create the illusion of a defined shadow. Some researchers have suggested it could represent a temporary distortion in the thermosphere, creating a localized area where sunlight is absorbed rather than reflected. Yet none of these theories fully account for the shadow's perfect geometric consistency, or its apparent ability to move independently of air currents and orbital mechanics. If this isn't a shadow in the conventional sense, what could possibly cause a perfectly circular darkness to crawl across Earth's surface while leaving no trace of its passage? Perhaps some phenomena can only be properly observed from above. Number 5. The Space Spiders. In February 2011, astronauts performing routine maintenance on the International Space Station's exterior made a disturbing discovery. Delicate web-like structures had formed on the handrails and external equipment bays of the Russian segment. These crystalline formations resembled spider webs in their intricate patterning, with thin filaments extending outward from central nodes in geometric arrangements. What made them particularly unnerving was that they hadn't been present during an EVA just 14 days earlier. NASA and Roscosmos scientists initially attributed these structures to crystallization of leaked coolant or water vapor that had escaped during previous spacewalks. But laboratory attempts to reproduce the formations under simulated space conditions failed to create anything with the same structural complexity. Analysis of samples brought back inside the station revealed silicon compounds with carbon traces arranged in patterns that didn't match known crystallization processes. Between 2011 and 2018, similar web-like formations appeared on exterior surfaces of the ISS on 8 separate occasions. In each case, they formed during periods when the station was passing through regions of high solar activity, and they exhibited growth patterns that suggested a response to the electromagnetic environment. Most puzzling were the structure's apparent ability to self-repair when damaged by micrometeorites, rebuilding their geometric patterns within hours. The leading scientific theory suggests these might be examples of complex crystallization processes unique to the microgravity environment, possibly driven by interactions between outgassed materials from the station and charged particles in the upper atmosphere. The geometric precision might result from electromagnetic fields guiding the arrangement of charged particles as they crystallize. Yet the structure's complexity, their preferential formation on specific alloys, and their apparent responsiveness to their environment have led some researchers to propose more controversial hypotheses. The space spiders serve as a humbling reminder that even in the engineered environment of our orbital outpost, phenomena can emerge that challenge our understanding of how matter behaves when freed from Earth's gravitational influence. Number 4. The cosmic lightning. In August 2015, astronauts aboard the International Space Station witnessed something that defied conventional understanding of atmospheric physics. While passing over Central Africa during a thunderstorm, the crew observed massive electrical discharges erupting from the storm clouds, not downward as lightning typically strikes, but upward into space. These luminous blue tentacles extended more than 250 miles above Earth's surface, far beyond the documented range of sprites, jets, and other known upper atmospheric electrical phenomena. Unlike the brief millisecond flashes of documented sprites, these discharges persisted for nearly 2 minutes, pulsating with intensifying brightness before fading. Instruments aboard the ISS detected electromagnetic anomalies orders of magnitude stronger than anything previously recorded from atmospheric electricity. Most disturbing was the behavior of these energy columns. They appeared to branch and reconnect in patterns as resembling neural network, exhibiting complexity that suggested organization rather than random discharge. Between 2015 and 2023, similar phenomena were documented 13 times, always occurring over the most powerful thunderstorm systems. High-definition cameras captured details showing these weren't simple electrical discharges, but complex, structured energy formations that created temporary corridors between Earth's atmosphere and space. During the 2019 observation, instruments detected particles accelerated to near relativistic speeds within these corridors, something that should be physically impossible in Earth's upper atmosphere. Scientists have proposed various explanations, from previously unknown properties of plasma physics to temporary ruptures in Earth's magnetic field, allowing solar particles to penetrate deeper into the atmosphere. Some researchers suggest these might represent a newly discovered mechanism by which our planet exchanges energy with space, a pressure valve for dissipating massive electrical potentials that build up during severe storms. What makes these cosmic lightning events truly mysterious isn't just their unprecedented scale, but their apparent organization and structure. If these are natural phenomena, they suggest Earth's electrical relationship with space is far more complex than our models predict. And if they're not entirely natural, what force could possibly be organizing energy on such a massive scale in the void between our atmosphere and space? Number 3. The Phantom Cosmonauts. In December 1973, the 3 astronauts of Skylab 3 were 42 days into their mission when Commander Gerald Carr reported something impossible to Mission Control. While his crewmates were sleeping, Carr had seen someone outside the spacecraft window, a humanoid figure floating alongside the station without a spacesuit. The figure vanished when Carr attempted to photograph it. NASA officially attributed the incident to fatigue and the psychological effects of long-duration spaceflight, but similar reports emerged across different space programs and eras. In 1984, cosmonauts aboard Salyut 7 reported seeing 7 angelic figures outside their spacecraft, bathed in orange light. All 6 crew members confirmed the sighting. During a 1996 shuttle mission, 2 astronauts independently reported sensing an additional presence inside the vehicle during night cycles, a phenomenon later documented on 4 separate ISS expeditions. What makes these incidents particularly unsettling is their consistency across different space agencies, spacecraft designs, and decades. The psychological profiles of astronauts and cosmonauts are meticulously evaluated. These individuals represent the most mentally stable professionals on Earth, yet approximately 27% of long-duration space travelers report some variation of this phenomenon. Scientists attribute these experiences to a combination of factors: the effects of cosmic radiation on the brain's temporal lobe, disruption of circadian rhythms, and the psychological impact of isolation in an environment where the line between life and death is as thin as a spacecraft hull. Recent studies of astronaut brain scans show significant changes to areas associated with sensory perception after extended periods in orbit. The phantom cosmonaut phenomenon serves as a profound reminder of how space travel affects human consciousness. The void between worlds isn't merely a physical challenge, but a psychological frontier that alters our most fundamental perceptions. Perhaps in pushing beyond Earth's protective embrace, we encounter not only the external unknown, but also the uncharted territories within our own minds, regions of consciousness that emerge only when we venture into environments for which human perception never evolved. Number 2. The living cloud. In September 2016, astronauts aboard the International Space Station documented something that challenged our understanding of atmospheric phenomena. While passing over the South Pacific, the crew observed an enormous cloud formation spanning approximately 200 miles in diameter that was behaving impossibly. Unlike normal weather systems driven by temperature gradients and Coriolis forces, this massive structure moved directly against prevailing high-altitude winds, maintaining its cohesion and circular structure despite forces that should have dispersed it. More disturbing was the formation's apparent response to the ISS itself. As the station passed overhead, the cloud structure reorganized, forming a distinct spiral pattern that tracked the spacecraft's trajectory. High-resolution cameras captured details showing smaller vortices within the formation, rotating in synchronized patterns that meteorologists described as mathematically impossible for natural cloud behavior. Between 2016 and 2024, similar formations were observed on 11 occasions by both the ISS and Earth observation satellites. Each instance shared key characteristics: the circular structure, movement independent of prevailing winds, and most unnerving, an apparent reactivity to observation platforms passing overhead. During the 2020 sighting, instruments detected unusual electromagnetic activity within the formation, with patterns that one NASA scientist described as bearing uncomfortable similarity to neural firing patterns. Atmospheric scientists have proposed various explanations, from previously unknown interactions between oceanic microbiomes and cloud formation to exotic plasma phenomena generated by tectonic activity below the ocean floor. Some researchers suggest these might represent emergent properties of complex systems at the boundary between Earth's hydrosphere and atmosphere, where billions of microbial life forms interact with atmospheric conditions. What makes the living cloud truly mysterious isn't just its violation of atmospheric physics, but the apparent purposefulness of its movements. If these formations are driven solely by known physical processes, why do they exhibit behaviors that seem responsive and coordinated? And if something more complex is at work, could our planet's atmosphere occasionally host phenomena that blur the very definition of what constitutes a living system? Number 1. The cosmic void. In February 2012, during a routine EVA outside the International Space Station, astronauts Alexander Ponomarev and Anthony Roberts encountered something that continues to defy explanation. While working near the station's Z1 truss, both astronauts simultaneously reported entering a region of space where their instruments malfunctioned, communications failed, and they experienced what Roberts described as a profound distortion of perception. For approximately 94 seconds, both astronauts reported experiencing a sensation of extreme temporal dilation, what felt to them like nearly 20 minutes, while Mission Control recorded less than 2 minutes of anomalous telemetry. Upon returning inside, both described entering a region that appeared darker than the surrounding space. Not merely an absence of light, but what Ponomarev called an absence of everything, including distance itself. Most disturbing were the psychological effects. Both astronauts, despite having no history of anxiety disorders, reported overwhelming sensations of being observed by something within this void region. Between 2012 and 2023, similar phenomena were documented during 5 separate spacewalks across different sections of the ISS orbit. Each incident shared consistent characteristics: instrumentation failure, communication disruption, temporal perception distortion, and profound psychological effects that lingered for days afterward. NASA established a classified research group in 2015 to study these events, codenamed Project Abyssal. Theoretical physicists have proposed various explanations, from localized space-time anomalies to quantum field fluctuations that briefly alter fundamental constants within a defined region. Some researchers suggest these might represent areas where our universe interfaces with higher dimensional structures, predicted by certain variations of string theory. The cosmic void phenomenon stands as perhaps the most profound mystery encountered in human spaceflight, regions where the very fabric of reality as we understand it seems to temporarily unravel. These experiences force us to confront a humbling truth. Despite our technological achievements, we have barely begun to comprehend the nature of the cosmos we are exploring. In pushing beyond Earth's protective embrace, we may occasionally brush against aspects of existence that our minds were never evolved to perceive, let alone understand. A reminder that in the vast darkness between worlds, there may be voids that stare back into us. If you want to see more videos like this, click the video on screen now and make sure to subscribe.